For nearly 20 years, Bernie Madoff did something that should have been impossible. He convinced billionaires, celebrities, banks, charities, and some of the smartest investors in the world to hand over their money willingly. Not millions, billions. By the time the truth finally surfaced, more than $65 billion had vanished. No guns, no masks, no dramatic bank robberies. Just one man sitting quietly behind a desk on Wall Street, and somehow nobody noticed. The story of Bernie Madoff is not just the story of the biggest financial fraud in history. It is a story about trust, reputation, and the dangerous human tendency to believe what we want to believe. Because Bernie Madoff never stole $65 billion by force. His victims gave it to him willingly. Born in Queens, New York in 1938, Madoff entered the financial world with ambition and determination. Over the decades, he built an impressive reputation. His investment firm expanded, his influence grew, and eventually he became chairman of NASDAQ, one of the most important stock exchanges in America. To investors, this was proof. If Bernie Madoff was helping run one of the most respected financial institutions in the country, why would anyone question him? That assumption became the foundation of everything that followed. Madoff understood something powerful about human psychology. People don't trust facts, they trust status. Once someone becomes successful enough, respected enough, and influential enough, most people stop asking difficult questions. His greatest trick wasn't convincing people to invest. It was convincing them they were lucky to be allowed in. Unlike most investment firms, Madoff rarely chased clients. Sometimes he turned investors away. Sometimes he made them wait. Sometimes he acted as though he didn't even want their money. This created an illusion of exclusivity. Wealthy investors felt privileged simply to gain access. The more exclusive it seemed, the more desirable it became. Soon, wealthy families were recommending him to friends. Friends recommended him to relatives. Entire communities became connected through Madoff's investment network. Trust spread faster than skepticism ever could. Meanwhile, something strange was happening. Year after year, Madoff's investors made money. Markets rose, they made money. Markets crashed, they still made money. Economic uncertainty appeared. Somehow, they continued making money. At first, investors were impressed. Then, they became amazed. Eventually, they became addicted. There was only one problem. Real investing doesn't work that way. No strategy wins forever. No investor avoids losses forever. No market expert predicts every outcome correctly. Yet Madoff appeared immune to reality itself. Almost nobody questioned it. Almost nobody. One financial analyst named Harry Markopoulos began studying Madoff's returns. The more he analyzed the numbers, the more impossible they looked. He checked them repeatedly and kept reaching the same conclusion. The returns weren't impressive. They were mathematically impossible. While investors celebrated their profits and Wall Street praised Bernie Madoff as a financial genius, the truth was far less impressive. There was no secret strategy, no revolutionary system, no market-beating formula hidden behind closed doors. The money was never being invested the way clients believed. Instead, Madoff was running what is now considered the largest Ponzi scheme in history. The concept was surprisingly simple. When new investors deposited money, Madoff used that money to pay returns to older investors. Those older investors saw profits appear on their statements and assumed their investments were growing. Encouraged by these returns, they invested even more. They told friends, they told family members, they told business partners. The cycle fed itself. As long as more money kept entering the system than leaving it, the illusion could continue. And it did, for years, then for decades. Every month, fake account statements were created. Trades that never happened were recorded. Profits that never existed appeared on paper. Investors opened their statements and saw exactly what they wanted to see. Success. What made the scheme especially dangerous was the trust surrounding Madoff. Most fraudsters spend their lives trying to look legitimate. Madoff already was legitimate. He had built a respected business. He had connections across Wall Street. He had chaired NASDAQ. His reputation acted like a shield. Even regulators failed to stop him. Harry Markopolos repeatedly warned authorities that Madoff's returns made no mathematical sense. He submitted detailed reports. He explained why the numbers were impossible. He practically handed investigators a roadmap to the fraud. Nothing happened. The warnings were ignored. Time after time, regulators looked at Madoff and saw a respected financial leader. They saw a man trusted by some of the richest and most influential people in America. And so the fraud continued. By the mid-2000s, billions of dollars were flowing through Madoff's operation. Wealthy investors believed they had discovered one of Wall Street's greatest money managers. Some people invested their entire life savings. Charities entrusted him with funds meant to support important causes. Pension funds placed their future in his hands. Nobody realized they were standing on a financial cliff. Then came 2008. The global financial crisis hit with extraordinary force. Markets crashed, banks collapsed, fear spread throughout the world economy. Suddenly, investors wanted their money back, lots of it. Billions of dollars in withdrawal requests flooded into Madoff's firm. Normally, a legitimate investment company sells assets to meet withdrawals, but Madoff had a problem. There were no assets. The money was gone. For years, he had survived by bringing in new investors faster than old investors withdrew funds. Now the flow had reversed. People were taking money out faster than new money was coming in. The illusion was collapsing. And for the first time in decades, Bernie Madoff ran out of options. In December 2008, he confessed the truth to his sons. The entire business was a fraud, everything. The returns, the statements, the investments, all of it. His stunned sons immediately contacted authorities. The next day, Bernie Madoff was arrested. Wall Street could hardly believe it. The respected businessman, the trusted advisor, the former NASDAQ chairman, the man who had spent decades building a reputation for success, was actually running a giant lie. As investigators dug deeper, the scale of the disaster became clear. Thousands of victims had lost everything. Retirement accounts disappeared, charities collapsed, families saw decades of savings evaporate overnight. Some victims lost millions, others lost their entire futures. The final estimated size of the fraud exceeded $65 billion. No financial scam in history had ever come close. In 2009, Bernie Madoff pleaded guilty to multiple federal crimes. He was sentenced to 150 years in prison, effectively ensuring he would spend the rest of his life behind bars. For many victims, the sentence offered little comfort. The money was still gone, the damage was permanent. And perhaps the most disturbing part of the entire story wasn't how Bernie Madoff fooled people, it was how easy it was. His victims weren't stupid. Many were highly educated, many were experienced investors, many were successful business people. What Madoff exploited wasn't ignorance, it was human nature. People want certainty, people want easy answers, people want to believe that somewhere out there someone has discovered a secret formula for success. Madoff understood that desire better than anyone, and he turned it into a $65 billion illusion. The story of Bernie Madoff remains a warning, not just about financial fraud, but about trust itself, because whenever someone appears too successful, too perfect, or too certain, the smartest response isn't admiration, it's skepticism. The moment people stop asking questions is often the moment they become vulnerable, and that lesson may be worth far more than the billions that were lost. If you enjoyed this story and want more true tales of money, power, deception, scams, frauds, and the people who changed history, subscribe to Dark Ledger and turn on notifications so you never miss the next documentary.